We're on Bloomborough in Modern Day 2. Today we're playing Iridescent Vinelasher, 1 mana, 1/2 landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. This card can also, you can get a copy of this that's a 1/1 token for 3 mana, so you can get 2 of these for 3 mana, so it's kind of nice that you have a little bit of like a mana sink in your landfall deck, an archetype that historically has a lot of issues with flooding. I've kind of been wanting to play a deck like this for a while. I've seen some other people play decks like this. I haven't gotten around to it, but there's a kind of a cool landfall aggro shell that's kind of focused around Springheart Nantuko and Reckless Pyrosurfer. Springheart Nantuko makes a lot of tokens, and then Reckless Pyrosurfer can lord those tokens for a lot with landfall gives up multiple instances of battle cry. And so this is pretty cool, and we have another really good aggressive 1 mana landfall creature too now with Vinelasher, which kind of like one thing that's great about this is you're not super incentivized to splash a 4th color. The mana, if you play 4 colors, is kind of brutal in this archetype. A lot of people, you want to play the Step Links, the white Akoum Hellhound, or I guess, this is the red Step Links, since Step Links came out first. But so now you have another good aggro landfall creature in Jund, which like really helps the mana just be Jund and not 4 color for the landfall archetype. You also get to play Brushfire Elemental, which is a really strong card. You can play more Bristly Bills. We're only playing 1 right now, because I think it's very important to play 4 Bowmasters in this deck. Not only is Bowmaster just very good with Pyrosurfer, like Bowmaster on 2, Pyrosurfer, Landfall is just a ton of damage, but it's very important for aggro decks to have game plan against the ring right now. Bowmaster is that. So this does. I guess I wanted to check if this got through the ring. So it is damage and it does target. So if it does not get through the ring, I guess you could fetch on your opponent's turn and get some damage through. I think the first Bristly Bill will be pretty good to draw. Kind of wanted to play 2 copies, only have room for 1, because I think the first copy of Nissa is also very, very good. This Nissa is going to be able to just like make you a lot of mana. You can use that mana unlike Bestowed Springheart Nantuko copies, double spell, activate Bill occasionally. But also every time you fetch, you're going to get a creature. You're going to get an Akoum Hellhound or an Atarka's Command. So it's just kind of nice to have some flood insurance here with Nissa. Jegantha also kind of acts as some flood insurance too, which is nice. And let's play. Do I have a plan versus Nadu? I'm going to attack them. I've got a couple Harsh Mentors in the sideboard. I'm going to attack them and hope that I kill them before they kill me. Is that a great plan? Nope. Is it a plan? Yes. Also, Nadu is just not very popular on leagues, and so like very simply, you could play more Harsh Mentors for paper and challenges. But it's just kind of tough to play 4 Harsh Mentors in. Like we haven't played against Nadu once this week. It's just like it's just tough. Kind of interesting. I think you could either put back Brushfire Elemental, or you either should put back a land or one of the twos. Blood Crypt, Striker Rich. Wow. Okay, well, let's lead on the Hellhound off of a Blood Crypt, I guess. Next we can go Vinelasher, hit them for 4+2, and then also play the Hellhound. Will we get a next turn? I'm on Magebane Lizard in the sideboard, since I think it complements the for the store matchup. I think it complements the aggro plan a lot better. Maybe I should save the fetch land for next turn. I think that makes sense, since I'll have 2 more landfall creatures to have the fetch land trigger off of. My opponent is like super F6'd. They didn't do anything last turn, so let's presume that they're going to surveil right now. Rakdos Storm, probably. They should be pretty dead next turn. This is 4+3+2+6. That sounds like more than 14. Thoughts on a 4-color mana base for Step Links? Is that too ambitious? I mean, other people have done it. One thing I really like about this deck is now you don't have to do that. But it has been done, and it is doable. Ooh. Weird. I think they're dead. Okay, so if I play Pyrosurfer is definitely more damage than the Brushfire Elemental, so we don't need to worry too much about that. They're going to block a Hellhound. But I think they're still dead. Wow, putting an Emrakul into play on turn 3 is so weak. In the face of a Vinelasher. Yeah, one thing I really like about this deck is how good the mana is. The mana gets much worse for Steplinks, and you're not really dying for another 1-mana aggressive creature anymore because of Vinelasher. Battlecry, Battlecry. Are they exactly dying? No, I think we have 11. They block here, they take 11. Nice. Although, we're not necessarily very prepped to deal with Rakdos creativity. They're playing ritual into creativity, like turbo creativity is really scary for us. If they're playing desperate ritual, I don't know how, if we should think that they also have persist in their deck. I don't know if that would really make a lot of sense. Magebane Lizard is pretty good against a deck that has rituals in general. Like you ritual into a non-creature spell, you take 3. So I think I want to bring in the lizards. Lizards over Bowmaster? Let's try that. Well, the Bowmaster kills the token. They probably have Through the Breach in their deck also. Yeah, I think they're just like Through the Breach and creativity. That would be my guess at least, which is pretty interesting. Alright, Mulligan another 1-lander. They got 6 card. They're on a 6. We're going to 6 also, of course. Pretty 6-card hand. They're on 5. Over Nantuko. Yeah, maybe Nantuko's the weak link. It's a little slow. It does pop off, but maybe not in this matchup. Could also be a Goryo's deck. I mean, it could be, but it's kind of weird for them to have like the Reanimator stuff and Ritual. But it could be. Oh, looks like the Daybreak account play points. I think they play Rakdos decks based on the name. Maybe. Okay, so we play the land. We hit them for 2 off the landfall, 2 off the attack, so down to 15. And then the next landfall, this is 5 plus 2 plus 1. Okay. Well, we'll do some more math later. Much to my chagrin. Odds that they have Atraxa and Emrakul. I think that they probably have like Ulamog Emrakul, and I don't know. I guess I don't know how they're exiling the stuff, but I think that if they're playing Rituals, it makes sense for them to have Through the Breach and creativity. Is what I'm thinking at the moment. Okay, so I don't want to put Jegantha into my hand and then not be able to bolt and stop a creativity. It is weird to surveil and like lose a possible landfall trigger, but we also need more pressure, so is the nut draw enabled by Atarka's command worth it being blank in situations like these? I think so. I guess I just wouldn't say that it's blank in this situation. Sorry, I should have left up the Atarka's command, but kind of decided last second I wanted to maybe be able to bolt them end of turn. Yeah, it is not a blank card in this spot. But it's definitely good in your Springheart Nantuko landfall deck. Let's be serious for a second. This is definitely a good one. Taking the extra damage off the lizard, I think that's okay. Two mana, deal 5 damage. So we put them down to 3, so they can't ritual into something. Ulamog gets 10 counters from himself by creativity. Yeah, but if we're working on the theory that they're playing through the breach and creativity, and I guess we won't know. I don't know how they're exiling just cards if they like threw the breach out. Ulamog. Let's keep. Can you pay Offspring off Amped Raptor cast? I think so, yeah. It'd have the mana, but I think that would work. Is there no chalice in the format? There's some chalices. It's not super common to main deck it. But yes, there are some chalices. Gotta keep that one. Not a Harbinger of the Seas in Modern at the moment, I guess. We should draw the Surveil Land. We're playing 3 Surveil Lands, but I think the Surveil Lands are super important. You end up like just fetching with like not else to do a lot. You really need to smooth out your draws in this archetype. So there's a Tamiyo. Look, maybe we get Harbingered out of this game, but this Wrenn and Six just seems so incredibly critical to resolve. Getting to resolve it here is like, if they don't play a Harbinger next turn, we're gonna win the game. I don't even know how many Harbingers they're likely to be main decking in a deck like this. It might happen, but I think it seems correct to me to just plus this. Or play this and plus it. Okay, and not getting Harbingers. So we'll prioritize getting a Mountain this next turn. I'm feeling pretty good, though. I guess what we might want to do is go just like Vinelasher, fetch Mountain, cast Raptor. My opponent's making red. Are they going to double bolt the Wrenn and Six? I mean, I'll take the 3-for-1, you know. I like 3-for-1s. And they'd say no attacks. Maybe playing around Ragavan. So I guess with them being tapped out, why don't we go Brushfire Elemental, fetch basic Mountain, cast Hellhound? I think the Boros matchup is. We lost to it earlier. Last league we were 1-1 up a game, lost to Boros, beat Dimir, and then we were up a game against Dimir, but we conceded to switch to Amped Raptors. The Boros matchup, I think if you win the play, if you're on the play, the matchup is okay, and it seems very, very hard if you lose the die roll. And I was thinking about it when I was building this deck, and I was having a pretty tough time, like figuring out like a good plan for the Boros matchup. And we have some graveyard hate for Flage. I probably mis-sideboarded and should have brought in a little bit more graveyard hate. But it does seem kind of like a tough matchup to attack for whatever. Because we can't really play sweepers very well in the festivities. Well, is that a good card against them? Like, they have some 1 toughness creatures. It's not good against a Johnny because it flips a Johnny. It's like it doesn't kill Guide of Souls. Maybe it's okay, but it's like very, very situationally good for a card that is like super targeted. Is it worth it to find a way to get double land drops in like Grazer? Well, we do have that. We have Atarka's Command in the deck, which is almost certainly the best option. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to target Tamiyo now. Fear Fire Foes. Damage can't be prevented. Deals X damage to target creature and 1 damage to each other creature of the same controller. That card is so much better than in the festivities, I guess. It does kill the 2 toughness creatures. That card also is very good against a Johnny. Like, that card solves the Ajani problem. You go 3 mana, kill a Johnny, 1 damage to the cat. Do you still target Tommy if they don't crack a land? No, I was going to target them, and because and then bolt the Tamiyo because I don't want them to kill my Bowmaster. And then I lost the point of damage. I'm gonna go ahead and cast the bolt on them end of turn here though. Do you think it's worth to play more one mana removal on the board? It's just like not that good of a plan, I think, but you know, it could worth, you know, what is worth? Why is Fear Fire better than Pyroclasm? It does not kill all of our 1 and 2 toughness creatures in this deck. Imagine if we had Pyroclasm in our hand, and these are our creatures. Yeah, also does like the can't be prevented is relevant. Okay, they lost the flip. Freestyle Lookout seems real good with Wrenn and Six. Yeah, I think that's a pretty different build of the stack. Hopefully one that we can play at some point. Don't have the mana to Offspring, but we'll take it. They are obviously in pretty bad shape here. Even if they have a main deck Pyroclasm, which I have seen some people do, my Orc army survives. Is there versions deck that plays free started Bobble Relic over Bowmaster Raptor? Relic makes Bowmaster matchup too. I don't know. I've been working on rock build of this deck. I was having a hard time including main deck Graveyard Hate, but I agree it's important for Flage. Definitely could. I do think there's something to this kind of shell, and then like Nantuko on Free Starter Lookout can kind of pop off, but deck seems kind of slow, bad against Boros without finding ways to make Graveyard Hate. It'll just take some time to figure out. I do think we can figure it out. So they're gonna take 2 damage if they draw 2, even if they kill the Bowmaster. And they can't crack the fetch, so they're dead. Anything new for Basim Bloom? Yes, Kitsa is another cheap good blue wizard or legend. I have not built Kitsa Basim yet, but probably work on that tonight. Okay, so we're up a game against Izzet Wizards. Magebane seems kind of great. It's just kind of tough for them to kill. I think we cut the Atarka's commands, and then maybe we trim like a Brushfire Elemental. Don't think I'm going to bring in Nihil Spellbomb for Snapcaster and Tamiya minus. Saga plus Searchable Graveyard Hate. Saga is like at an all-time low for me in fair decks. But maybe. Yeah, I'm like I really don't want to put Urza Saga in my deck. Although this is also maybe something about like the Boros matchup, because like Saga tokens are not bad against Boros, but it is just so tough in the Wrath of Skies format to like, I'm a fair deck that plays Urza Saga. I'm going to make some constructs. I'm going to search some shit. You're just going to lose. I mean, this hand's really good if it draws a fetch. We have 2 looks. My opponent has kept 6. Kind of weird, but I think that we were supposed to keep. This is a very bad matchup to mulligan to 5 in. Very bad matchup to mulligan to 5. Postboard, the 5-pack. Gotta give stuff for Postboard. Make sure to thank them. Appreciate you. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Hope you play more Pull from Eternity deck at some point. Yeah, that deck was really cool. I'd love to figure out some updates for it. It's kind of sad that Urza Saga is considered fair now. Okay, so I don't want to get too much into this, but fair is just like, it's just a type of card. It's like fair is like mid range. Fair is aggro. Fair is control. It's like it's non-combo. It is what I say when I mean fair, and it's what the majority of like in franchise competitive players say what they mean fair. They're talking about specifically like non-combo as an archetype, or big mana is usually how I think of unfair is big mana, and fair is unfair is combo big mana. Fair is mid-range control, aggro. I don't think my opponent will have left in their Harbingers in this matchup, so I'm going to Surveil. Could be wrong, obviously, but I don't think that they should have. They probably didn't. Nice. Saga makes sense to not even find Shuko otherwise. Yeah. Saga's just you can play Saga if you're tutoring up a really powerful combo card. So like Amulet of Vigor, Shuko. I usually say Colossus Hammer as an example, but I don't know if that is real anymore. So does fair mean more non-linear reactive dex cards? Just for my clarifications, I'm not smart. Yeah, so when you say fair, it's like I'm going to just kind of normally play these cards. I'm gonna play my 1-drop for 1 mana. I'm going to make some creatures with Urza Saga. I'm going to, I'm just gonna spend mana to cast the cards, kind of like Richard Garfield intended or whatever. And then unfair in my mind tends to be like I'm trying to cheat. I'm trying to make big mana. I'm trying to like make way more mana than I should have. I'm trying to Nadu Shuko. I'm trying to ritual storm my opponent. I'm trying to do something that like the game doesn't intend for me to do. I'm trying to do something more powerful than what you can be expected to do on your turn. Does that make sense? And so, yeah, I do know that in some other circles, like fair and unfair, it just means different things. So I tend to like to try to make this clarification, I guess. What's the difference between ramping into an Eldrazi or discounting Murktide? In my opinion, both the same level of fair. I don't know. It's kind of semantics, right? And this is why I don't love this conversation. It's because like the whole like what I mean when I call something fair is I'm trying to have like a somewhat productive conversation about like archetypes and positions in the metagame. I'm not really trying to have this like nuanced philosophical conversation. Okay, they did leave this in, by the way. I'm not really trying to have like a conversation with a lot of nuance about what cards are designed well and undesigned well. It's not something I ever want to talk about when I say the word fair or unfair. I think it's not very, and this is just kind of the main thing I'm trying to say is, I would just prefer for y'all to understand what I mean when I say it and not have the same dialogue tree every single time. One Arena of Glory. You could play Arena of Glory in this deck. It's a little bit weird with like no Flage. We do have Jegantha. My opponent gives us the GG. Would I consider energy decks fair? Yes, I would consider the energy decks like quintessential, like the ideal or like the clearest version of what a fair deck is. It is a deck that is just playing lands, curving out, playing creatures. It is playing like the best creatures ever printed. It's very fast and it's an aggressive deck, but it is not trying to like break the rules of the game. So like or like trying to break like what you can do on a turn, which is maybe a good way to think about it. And then I click the keep button. Yeah. Like, and this is maybe the biggest thing people get stuck on when we talk about this definition. The best deck in the format can be fair. A deck that needs banned can be fair. But this is just a terminology. We're talking about archetypes and their position. It is not an evaluation on how good an archetype is or how powerful or how well designed it is. I'm going to play my Akoum Hellhound. I'm going to pass the turn. Kind of a borderline hand, but keeping on the play. Is Chaining Rings fair? In Tron, no, because it's a Tron deck, and in Jeskai, yes, because it's a control deck. Is it a good play pattern? No. Is it? Okay. All right, play this. Is Tron the line between fair and unfair? No, I would say Tron is like explicitly unfair. It is trying to have 7 mana turn 3. It is trying to break what you can do on a turn. Like just like the bounds of like, like kind of simply. I don't know why I keep talking about this, but kind of simply put, the like Magic is a game. You play a land, you can play a 1 mana spell turn 1. You play another land, you play a 2 mana spell turn 2. You play a land, you play a 3 mana spell turn 3. Any deck trying to do this is a fair deck. Um, any deck not trying to do this is an unfair deck. Is that maybe that's a good way to visualize it? Okay, landfall. Forsaken Bacon, 10 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. By that definition, Murktide is not a fair deck because it plays a 7-mana spell turn 3. I think you're kind of being willfully... I do not want to have an argument about this. You know what I mean? It's like... this is the problem with this dialogue tree is I always try to like... I always try to like have a real conversation about this. I always try to clarify for people that are confused about what I mean when I say it. But for like... It isn't helpful to debate it for me. I'm trying to have the most effective conversations about Magic and about archetypes and about positions in the metagame. It is not helpful to me to have like this very big nuance, like, actually, what about blah 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 blah. It is unproductive for the stream. It's not something I'm interested in engaging in. With peace of love. Thank you very much. You can disagree and you can have a different definition, but this whole point of this whole conversation is that I just want to clarify what I mean. I'm not interested in having a nuanced conversation about it. That is the last thing I'm saying. Moving on. Yeah, I know. I started this whole thing with I don't want to get too much into it, but it's the same dialogue tree. Okay. The ring is bad against a lot of damage really fast. They are revealing Kozilek's Return to Ancient Stirrings, which, if they cast it main phase, I can protect against it. Alright, I can also just kill them right now. Cal Panda, thank you for the raid. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you. So we are up a game against Green-Red Eldrazi. They're playing Kozilek's Return, which is kind of really throwing me off. They're probably just through the breach. I'm going to cut the Amped Raptors for Charmaws, because you can't Amped Raptor into a Charmaw. And I'm going to click the submit button. Am I interested in trying the new MTGO format? Dual Commander, is that the new MTGO format? If it's a different one, let me know. I'll say I do not have 0% interest in trying Dual Commander. There is a chance. There's a chance that it's like cool and popular and interests me. At the moment, this kind of happens sometimes. Modern is just like way too interesting for me to like really consider getting into another format. But if that changes, I would be open to it. The Turbo Emrakul deck plays Kozilek through the Breach build. I mean, I don't think it's like stock in the main, is it? I do think that's what they're playing. I like that they're playing Utopia Sprawl. Their build looks really good. Got 2 cards left in their hand. Hopefully they can't ramp too much, I guess. Is Lookout too slow for this? Yeah, Lookout is not an aggro card. This is like a pure aggro deck. Lookout is like a slow mid-range card, and so I did build a Lookout build that I think was like less good and less exciting than this one. This deck has been looking great so far. But yeah, there's just a different thing. This is my favorite Spike Cannon event. This was like this deck was huge for the channel. I remember like I had this deck really fast, this Into the Story control deck, and it was like really good in that format. Or I remember it being really good at least. Very early into the streaming career. Such a beautiful list. Okay, 1 on top, 3 on the bottom there. I can't kill any of those things with Charmaw, I guess. So let's just go Pyrosurfer. Fetch, because I can get a mountain kind of easily. So we're attacking for 5, putting them down to 8. So we'll see what their follow-up is. They did keep a card on top. There's an Eldrazi Temple. My Charmaw is hungry. Okay. That's kind of the best possible, I guess. Is Pyrosurfer into Elemental more damage? I guess it's 2 this turn and then more the following turn. But I kind of like to not let them know about the Pyrosurfer. The deck since you missed it. Sorry, was there a deck tech that you revealed, Dunk? I did miss if there was a deck tech. Oh wait, we're talking about. Oh, that's my Streamlabs. Oh, there. Let's cool. Let me. I guess I should look at this now. Ooh, a Nissan or sorry, a Honda. I said Nissan because we just bought a Nissan. But I do like Hondas. Cool, dude. They're playing Keswick Wolf Run. This looks nice. Is Charmaw good enough sideboard that you didn't care about the Raptor? Yeah, I just board out the Raptors for them. Is what we did here. Okay, so I can go Pyrosurfer, Landfall. Everything is double Battle Cry. So they will block one of my 3 power Pyrosurfers, and then they'll take 4, 3, 3, which is lethal. And so I think it's better to present lethal while still having the burn spell in the hand than it is to present lethal and not still have burn spell in hand. Oh, I also forgot the Vinelasher trigger. Well, I'm going to keep a fetch land. I'm going to attack. Trigger Battlecry, trigger Battlecry. They'll block my Hellhound, and they'll take 9. Seems nice. Okay, I mean, this is going pretty well. Another 3-0, 6-0, just like yesterday. Let's get a trophy prediction going. Gonna mulligan this on the draw. I'm gonna click keep. Not sure if you're supposed to put back the mountain there or not. I think I prioritize the extra landfall triggers and also not dying to Bowmaster right now against a Marsh Flats. We'll see what happens. Are there any cards you got caught because of Jegantha? No. But like almost always, like if there's a card I want to play in my main deck, I'm gonna play it instead of playing Jegantha if I think it's optimal in the main deck. And if there's not any, woohoo, I get this free stupid 5/5 that will win me some games. Okay, so let's say we're up against Goryo's. I do have a bunch of graveyard hate in the sideboard because I do think Goryo's is a particularly tough matchup. That's a pretty interesting draw. With them having this blocker and the Ephemerate, I think I just want to be in on the Vinelasher plan here. It's a lot of damage. It's like crabs, but landfall. So next turn, a fetch land is worth 6 damage. Really about my version of this Goryo. All right, let's see. Let's take a look, Crouch. I'm a big hater of Otherworldly Gaze. So a lot of ripples. Way too many ripples. The fact that you've cut the you have to play Tainted Indulgence as a way to like get Atrax and Gristlebrand out of your hand into the yard. The fact that you have like no way to get besides Frog to get these out of your hand into the yard is a mistake in your deck building, unfortunately. Yeah, I think I play the Hellhound here. Like they're gonna get to ephemerate one or the other, but not both. Yeah, like cutting Solitude completely is wrong. In my opinion. March of Wretched Sorrow, I think, is quite bad in this archetype too. Like you just have a lot of life gain with the Traxa Griselbrand. March is like just not a card I would ever play in this archetype. But I appreciate you, brave first time chatter. Where'd that come from? First time chatter for popping in. Welcome to the stream. So they choose to target the Archaeologist instead of the Solitude, and they get a counter on the Archaeologist because they bricked, which is great. I'm going to let this hit my Wrenn and Six since it's just going to go to 1. Can double Bowmaster this Solitude next turn, potentially. Let's go ahead and pick up a fetch land. Ping our opponent down to 15. Fifth ping, perhaps. The chatter will feel very smart after my opponent casts Tainted Indulgence and I destroy them with these double Bowmasters. Okay, that's seemingly not the play. Maybe they'll respond to Bowmaster with Indulgence. No subtlety, no subtlety, no subtlety. Is the Bant Otter Bolas deck on the roster for today? It is, yeah. I really want to play that. I want to play Jeskai Energy next. This deck is also like really exciting, I think, and very fast. And so like because like leagues with this deck can go so quickly, there's a chance I'm just gonna play another week of this. I don't really know yet, but I'm gonna try to go longer today. Small breakfast though. Purpose is like must have. ... It's turbo for the deck. Turbo is a very funny word to use. Crouch, we were having like a long conversation about like what that means yesterday. But I would actually disagree. I think Tainted Indulgence is faster than Ripples because Indulgence, if you have an Atraxa in your hand, you're gonna get that Atraxa in the yard really quickly. Ripples, you have to mill 3. So you have, with Indulgence, when you cast it, you draw 2, and then every single card in your hand can be an Atraxa, 2 turbo Atraxa. That's like 7, 10 like cards you could like think about like an Indulgence for Atraxa being, versus Ripples, which is just 3 the next turn. And I would even just kind of say like the opposite to some extent, that it's very slow instead of being turbo. But turbo, when people really, I don't know that I've really ever seen anyone use the word turbo to describe anything other than like kind of suboptimal card choices, with Peace of Love, of course. But like usually when people say turbo, it's like it's just always in defense of a card that's slow. It's so weird to me. Okay, we have lost here. That was a good surveil, tracks into the yard. Pretty unlucky for me. Yeah, also Falahi, Archaeologist works really well with Ephemerate, is better than Ripples. But like to describe Ripples as turbo is very interesting. And like this is what I was kind of talking about last time when we talked about turbo. Like what does that mean? But Ripples is a super slow card. It's a super slow card. It's like the opposite of turbo again. I don't know if I want to bring in these lizards or not. Probably only playing like 1 non-creature a turn, right? I think I'm gonna cut in a command and a bolt and a Wrenn and Six and an Nantuko. Another thing about Ripples too, you can play Ripples and Gorios. The card is very bad at multiples. It's very bad at multiples. You just don't really have the life to like. I guess that's your idea with playing March, but which is fine. But it's just like you really don't want to draw 2 Ripples, especially early. Turbo, I think, is fast all in on an idea. Yeah, I guess so. But it's like so when chatters have described Turbo this week, the cards have been Ripples of Undeath, very slow card, and they've also said turboing out this like 5 Sigrid, I think was the name. What if we play a Turbo Sigrid list? Neither of these cards are turbo, very slow cards. So we're unlocking the buzzword. We're really trying to understand what it means and what is it to be turbo. Why did you go all in? I mean, we're prepped for the matchup at least. Prepped for the matchup. Black-white Ripples with life gain, thoughts, not necessarily Reanimator. Well, if you're going to play like a black-based card advantage engine and being focused on life gain, it's probably more important to be in on Necro Dominance than it is to be in on Ripples of Undeath. If you have graveyard synergies, though, you can play ripples. So you would kind of have to be Reanimator. It'd have to be like a more graveyard focused deck. Okay, deck tech for Hecknin. This video's gonna be Spike explaining words. I mean, that's all we do on the channel. But like just like we had this whole like long thing about fair, unfair, talking about turbo. I think it is really important to define the terminology and make sure everyone is like on the same page when we use a buzzword. If someone is using a buzzword in chat, it is very good for everyone to kind of have an idea of what they mean when they say a word. And I like words a lot. I talk for a living. I think it's really good conversations to have, and also helpful to newer players too. The infamous Cruel Claw. So when I'm envisioning playing a infamous Cruel Claw deck, this card is like slow and fragile, but this card gets much better if you Arena of Glory haste it. In fact, it kind of just goes from being not very good to like kind of very good. Okay, punished for playing this on turn 1 instead of holding up double bolt for this. So I almost feel like for me, when I start with Cruel Claw, I'm gonna play 4 copies. I also would probably scrap this whole Urza Saga package, partially in favor of facilitating the extra Arena of Glories. Also, because Saga's not very good. It doesn't look very good in this deck, and you could just play 4 Fable of the Mirror Breaker as your graveyard enablers instead. And it also is like, I think I would like very easily cut Orcish Bowmaster for Through the Breach. I mean it's a bad hit off Cruel Claw, but you're a Emrakul Ulamog deck. I feel like I would want to try to play Through the Breach. Yeah, but I would cut the Sagas. I would cut the Saga targets. I would play 4 Fables. I would play 0 Bowmasters. Maybe play like 2 Through the Breach. Although your Ulamogs are like a little weird. I wonder if there's another good discard enabler you can play. Probably not too many besides Fable. It's kind of like the same thing we're playing the other day. Which is Cottage Cruel Claw. I don't know. It's the Cottage Cruel Claw. It's like Cottage is bad with Arena of Glory, which is kind of like the whole thing. Never say never, I guess. Suppose we keep that. So I don't know. For me with Cruel Claw 2, it's like obviously casting in Eldrazi is great. You're just not going to do that very consistently. I think you can just kind of have it be like a Bloodbraid Elf that's 3 mana that can hit any card in your deck and also just is going to keep casting things every turn, and that's probably a better way to think of the card and to play the card. Well, opponent is kind of wrecking us. Maybe Jegantha will save us. Best card, Wrenn and Six, maybe? I mean, I like that this card deals some damage here. Yeah, Emperor Bones has been kind of mid. I don't know. I think when I play Cruel Claw, it's going to be. I think I'm probably not going to be trying to do super unfair stuff with it. Brutal. So I could put Jegantha into my hand here, but then my opponent will just rebound Ephemerate. But if I basically could put Jegantha in my hand to like gain 3 life. You know, you just don't win against double grief scam, double pending that often with decks like this, or maybe decks in general. My opponent's hand could definitely be two Atraxes here or something, and you know, It's not that we have 0% chance to win. T-Pass with the 54 months. Thank you so much. So again, just kind of some general thoughts. Again, I haven't really sat down and hammered it out yet. Hope to do this so soon. So I'm at 6. So you're saying that there's a chance. Brand of the 28, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And again, thank you, T-Pass, at tier 2. Double thank you for a tier 2. Indulgence. Looks like another pending. They mill over an Atraxa, and they put a Celestial Purge into their hand. Less than ideal. My life total just kind of ain't high enough. So I gotta play the Bowmaster, and I think I have to peeing and then double block, because they have the Celestial Purge to blow out the block. Okay, and I guess... I don't know how I feel about that decision point from them. It's probably correct. Great top deck. Have actually some bad hits because of the surgical now. Okay, but we did not find a bad hit. So I think it probably is prudent for me to target the Archaeologist and attack with both of these. So attack with both, I get in for 3, which is really nice. I need to kill my opponent. And I'm dead to another removal spell, but I think I just kind of can't play around like the 5th removal spell or whatever. Not dead to Solitude also. Deep Root Wayfinder deck? Unplayable, but I have played Deep Root Wayfinder this year. Just not good enough. So they put a Flooded Strand into their graveyard off the Surveil. Dude, we could win this game. I'm getting kind of hyped. Landfall my Brushfire Elemental. So I think we could attack like this, maybe. Then I guess they would just block like this and go to 1. What happens if I attack like this? They can block here, they can block here and die. They can block here. Yeah, I guess this forces the Grief to trade with something, right? If they have nothing, which is about all we can beat. So their hand might be Solitude Atraxa, by the way. We're dead to an Ephemerate on the Grieve, but again, just not playing around it. They've already used 2 Ephemerates too. Okay, and they cowardly target the Archaeologist instead, but also we are probably dead to that. They put a counter on the Archaeologist because they brick. They had a Watery Grave, a Grief, and a Plains. Wait, so not cowardly, just incorrectly. Like I'm at 3 life, no cards in my hand. Kind of hard for them to be like pivot, like full aggro maybe. But you know, catching a punt is a big deal for an opponent who has had such a good draw. So we need to dodge Agorios. We did dodge Agorios. They found a Prismatic Ending or Leyline of Sanctity. Or a +1 counter on the Archaeologist. Probably going to find the Prismatic Ending. But they need something else this turn. I do think there's a chance they have a Solitude in their hand. Now they like definitely have a Solitude in the hand. They would main phase the... Oh, sorry. They would have cast the Prismatic Ending otherwise. So if I attack with Amped Raptor and Orc Army, my opponent, if they had Solitude, wouldn't they have Ephemerated it? No, because they would have had to have also had another white card besides the Ephemerate, right? I think I'd still attack with these 2. Have a listen to Brat by Charlie XCX every day. Every day. Okay, so my opponent is still at 1 life. I have, you know, for some reason this card is still legal, so here's a free 5/5. This would be a crazy win. 3 cards in their hand. One of them is a Prismatic Ending. Oh my gosh. That was a very good draw on their part. At least I feel lucky to have thought the game was that competitive. I don't know. I'm so over Jegantha. I think it is like Jegantha is the least fun card in Modern for me at the moment. We go 5. I'm just very over. Oh, I can play this card. I have to play this card for it to be built correctly. Interesting. Oh, and all the companions been a modern out of principle. For me, it's just I get Jegantha. Maybe Kihira too, because it is kind of silly. Decks no creatures get to play Kihira, but Jegantha is the least fun card in modern. It just like it does not make deck building more fun. It does not make deck building more interesting. I'm over it. I'm very over it. You can have your opinions, of course. Yeah, it looks like Nadu with main deck Skyclave. Maybe Flare of Denial. They revealed the subtlety here. Yeah, it could be Primal Prayers. We're on a like pretty low mulligan. I think what I am gonna do is try to bestow Springheart Nantuko onto this Pyrosurfer. No, but they can't subtlety the bestow. Maybe they have another flare. I'll scoop if they flare this, I guess. Is Bloomburrow live? Yes, we have a Bloomburrow card in this deck. So I will make a copy of Pyrosurfer here, and can really go crazy next turn, but we don't want to attack this turn, lest we have to make this trade and not get to make 2 more Pyrosurfers next turn. Hopefully, they don't have a removal spell. Could be so much damage next turn. So we go Landfall, and then so this will have 3 instances or 2 instances of Battlecry next turn. This will have 2 also. Then the next one will have 1, and then the one after that will just be a 2/2 haste. Is unstable amulet seeing player as it dropped off. It still sees play. It is not super stock in Boros, but I think playing it gives you a lot of game against the energy mirrors and against Jeskai, but it makes you worse against Tron and other linear decks. Lasher seems a great card for Lookout, Enabler, Payoff for Lookout. Yeah, I agree. I've started to work on the list. I have like an okay first draft that needs a little bit more work. Another Nantuko would be a good draw. I guess we still get in. Unless I see... Maybe if I see Springheart Nantuko on top, like exactly Nantuko, we chill for a turn. We know my opponent has Subtlety and 3 mystery cards. This is pretty bad into Subtlety, but we can maybe play around it. Maybe a little bit too optimistic, don't know. Maybe about the Dimir Murktide deck with decks with Frog. They're like okay. I think as far as Dimir goes, I like the Dimir Basim Ring deck a little bit more, and Dimir Basim might also be getting a little bit better with this new with Kitsa, specifically Kitsa. I'm having issues watching Spike's YouTube stuff. I'm going crazy with larger issue. You know, you're not the first person to be like, I can't find the YouTube channel. It's like it's disappeared for me. Oh, Bant Birthing Ritual. I don't know why that seems to have happened more than once, but it has seemed to happen more than once. Velcro, 10 months. Think welcome back. After Nadu's ban, will we have something new or the meta restains stable? I mean, there's like a lot of. It's kind of hard to say. Like, the format will open up some, especially in paper tournaments and challenges. But for the like a Magic Online in the leagues, especially, people are kind of already treating it as if Nadu's banned. Like, people are just not out here playing Nadu. What are we missing about Kitsa that makes it so good? I did a YouTube video talking about it. You could go watch that if you wanted to, but if you don't want to, it's a legend, so it triggers Basim. It's a 2-mana legend, so it's good with Mox Amber. It can copy spells for card advantage. The looting is really nice, unless you play a lot of copies of it without being able to loot extra copies away. It attacks and blocks really well. It's a wizard for Flame of Anor. It is just a very efficiently costed 2-mana creature. Energy will by far be the best deck at the moment. Nadu's out. So I see a lot of people saying this, that Energy will be the best deck once Nadu is banned. I don't know that I agree. It might be, right? It might be, but I don't think the deck is like... It's not very good against Jeskai. It's not very good against Storm. It's not very good against Goryo's. It would not be very good against Yogg, and there's like a... Ooh, wow, I'm keeping that one. It would not be a very good card against Yogg, and I think that there's like a very good chance that like Yogg is a deck that makes a big resurgence should they ban Nadu. It's like fine against Tron, but like I don't know. To me, it seems like Energy is like a pretty beatable deck if you are trying to beat it. Yeah, there's also Necro, which is like a little bit underplayed at the moment. Have I built a deck with the Banned Frog deck? I've started to, and the issue with Helga is that I think you do have to play Omnath. I do think you have to play like Elish Norn, or you want to play Elish Norn, and you want to be like 4-color Omnath, which is that is always an archetype that I don't have a lot of fun working on. Their deck is very cool. Energy destroys Jund though, so it's the average amount of players kryptonite. Yeah. Yeah, I think I mentioned Jeskai being good against them. But yeah, Jeskai is good against them. So just to say that Energy will for sure be the best deck, it seems a little early to say that. Since it seems that there are a lot of existing modern decks that have a pretty good time against Boros Energy. There's also like a good chance that like Storm just kind of becomes the de facto combo deck. Alright, so opponents can't gain life +1/+1. I guess it's the same as dealing 3 damage +1/+1. No flare, no flare, no flare. Dang it. Any thoughts on Esper Smallpox control? So I do a lot of work on Magic, and I try really hard. It is not very easy. When you say like what is Esper Smallpox control, I don't know what that is. And so I you can send a deck list if you want. I'll be happy to take a look. But I don't know. I don't know what that is. Okay, we're down a game against Bant Birthing Ritual. Don't really have a lot in the way of sideboard for the matchup. We could play some Nihil Spellbombs against these Renegade Ralliers. I think I may just not care much about that card, though. We rolled a 5 that game also. Let's just beat them. I just hope it's not a scam meta after Nadu. We'll see. Curious on the Spellbomb attraction split. So my thought is that I want 2 Nihil Spellbombs for the Flage matchups. At the moment, I think I'm probably wrong, and I think I want the third. We lost to energy earlier, and I think I would have liked the third Spellbomb. But the idea is I want my extra Graveyard Hate to be Surgical, because we're particularly weak to Gorios. And Surgical is like the better card against Gorios. We did lose to Gorios, so I don't exactly know what we're supposed to infer, but we were right. We're bad against Gorios, I guess. Which existing modern decks do you think are favored into energy aggro? Well, it sure would have been nice if I had just said all of those things, but I guess we can say them all again. Jeskai and Gorios are probably like the 2 big ones. I think that Necro is pretty solid against it. Storm is very good against energy also. Those would probably be the top ones. I think the Eldrazi decks are like fine against it too. I don't know. I definitely feel like I beat them more than I lose to them. Might just be skill diff. Hard to say. How confident are we not a good span? I'm like 90%, I guess. Like it might not happen. But I think it feels very likely. It also like just is dominating paper tournaments like at the moment. Like the energy or SCG, whatever event Ginger won over the weekend was just like I think all top 4 were Nadu. Why not playing the 3-mana dude that puts land when you commit a crime? That card is not an aggro card. That card is a mid-range card. We cannot afford to play it in this deck. Okay, at risk of getting flared, I'm going to play this Wrenn and Six. Like the Martyr energy better. Yeah, I think Martyr's interesting. I think Orzhov deserves to be in the conversation, honestly, but nobody cares about Orzhov like me. IDK S for Smallpox could be beyond be playing control, counter magic, flagstone, smallpox. When the appropriate surface, thoughts of cards come to mind. So that's the thing, is it's just not something I could really do like midstream is like, you know, build Esper Smallpox control, you know what I mean? But in general, I would not play Smallpox and counter spells at the same deck. I don't think that that's a good plan. I could play Mardu Smallpox with Flage though. Yeah, this is lethal. No, they don't have anything. Isn't Atarka plus Bolt lethal? This is also lethal, but it tends to be better to present lethal and still have the burn spell in your hand if you can. So if they have like a Solitude but no Ephemerate, we can still kill them next turn. What do you think are some Storm's worst matchups? The Eldrazi builds that like main deck Trinisphere are definitely the worst, but they're not very common. I think we're running 4 Leyline Sanctity since Thoughtseize Grief matchups have been tough. I haven't really felt like those matchups have been too bad, but maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know. Storm is like you kind of don't have bad matchups besides bad matchups to yourself with some of your consistency issues and bad matchups to like your opponent just drawing their sideboard cards, both sideboard games, or mulliganing to them and drawing them. Although maybe Jeskai energy will be the best energy. Okay, well I'm gonna click the keep button. Definitely not gonna be as smooth on the draw probably. I tend to like to lead on the Hellhound over the Vinelasher against non-Bowmaster opponents. I'd imagine Is It Wizards would be tough for Storm. I don't know, maybe. The build that we played that was main decking 3 spell snares is probably pretty favored for them, but I don't know. I just have flashbacks to like the one time we played Wizards in a challenge and we were playing our win in for top 8 and we got turn 2'd by Storm twice, and maybe I'm just too sad after losing that one. They had a Birthing Ritual off their Coiling Oracle. So I really care about this Wrenn and Six resolving, so I think I'm going to try to bait the Flare with Bowmaster, or if they just don't have it, I'm really happy this resolved, right? This is deck I would answer to Chalice. Well, this deck's main answer to Chalice is that we play 12 1-drops, so we have a ton of 2-drops, so we can just kill our opponent. Chalice on 2 would be pretty good. I mean, this main phase, it's very indicative of another Flare, but I think I should still not play around it because they've already played one. I don't know. It's not like I really even have a very good play outside of the Wrenn and Six. Orzhov Pontiff? I don't care too much about Sun Cleanser, thankfully. I think we play the Pyrosurfer and set ourselves up to, when we draw land, have double Pyrosurfer with, you know, double Battlecry on both. Fisher 27 months, Flare, good card. Yeah, Flare has been really good in the Wizard show. Are we just brewing with Landfall here, or do we think it's actually competitive? We're testing Vinelasher, which is a new card that you can play in this archetype. And I know we start off 3-0. That deck does feel kind of powerful. I almost, if that Wrenn and Six resolved, you'd be like, oh man, this deck is so sick, it's so good. Didn't have the second Flare. Okay. Let's go for this, I guess. But you know, we're always brewing. We're always trying to push the boundaries of what's possible and how competitive something is or isn't. It's kind of up for you to decide and try to figure out yourself. But this deck seems pretty reasonable. We got to Nantuko Vinelasher yet? Not yet. Vinelasher's been pretty good though, and that's kind of, to some extent, that's kind of the more important thing. Is this Vinelasher card we're playing, this new card that we're testing, is it good? And it has been pretty good. And I think there's a lot more to do. So the hand is Birthing Ritual for mystery cards. I would love to draw a fetch land and make 2 copies of Pyrosurfer. I'm approaching standard. I've only played modern. Any suggestion to build a deck or just net deck something? I mean, I think usually when you get into a format, just net decking something is the best chance, because I can't brew in formats I don't play regularly, and I don't think really anybody is capable of brewing well in formats that they don't play regularly. Yeah, Escape Shift is just way too much mana. Okay, card in hand off the Watcher, card in hand off of the Ice Fang. We brick on a land again. We could Offspring Vinelasher. We could bestow Nantuko again. I'm probably just going to Offspring Vinelasher this turn. Although that is worse against another Flare. I think that's okay. They've already used 2 Flares. Three Flares. Your turn. I haven't missed the blue-white energy deck with Mockingbird. Has that not come around yet? So I ended up not really loving the Port Mages in the deck. Like the Port Mage build is fine, but I ended up building Jeskai instead. I think that's going to be the better build. And then I think I still want to do like a Port Mage Toro deck, but I'm having a hard time with that one. But hopefully you can figure it out. Yeah, they're just value Birthing Ritualing, which is like really, I think, the best plan with Birthing Ritual is just like use ETB and die triggers. Sack a voice, get a voice. All right, fetch land probably wins here. So of course we draw a Bowmaster. I think I'm going to play the Bowmaster as just like 2 extra bodies for the Pyrosurfer next turn. Could maybe bolt the Elemental token. I think I'm just going to bolt them. Not worry about it too much. Now you played the deck a bit, do you think it's fast enough to go against Nadu consistently? I mean, if you win the die roll, you're going to be able to race Nadu a lot of the time. If you lose, you're going to lose to Nadu a lot of the time. If you're worried about Nadu, you should just play more Harsh Mentors in the board. Or that's maybe part of what you should do. Okay. Get your Birthing Ritual trigger. Hopefully they only have this one, or Resolve Pontiff, I guess. Although, I don't know, it would be a pretty cool way to lose here. Mockingbird would be cool in their list? Maybe. It's not a very good hit off Birthing Ritual. I guess that doesn't matter that much. It's a lot of value. So I guess I'm probably gonna, if I draw a land, or maybe even if I don't, maybe I just need to be bestowing onto the Bowmaster. And just like putting myself in a position where if I draw an Atarka's Commander Bolt, I can win, or maybe I can just like kill them with Bowmasters copies over the course of the game. Yeah. If that Wrenn and Six had not gotten second flared, this game's so ogre. The deck's cool though. We are pretty dead. Well, despite us being pretty dead, this is a fun league. I think we're going to play the Jeskai Mockingbird energy deck next. So, I think Mockingbird is great in this archetype. It's just like, a Johnny's great to copy, Amped Raptor is great to copy. It's not great to hit Mockingbird off Amped Raptor, but I think it's not the worst hit either. It's like not a complete brick. Very good to copy Ranger Captain and like Ranger Captain Mockingbird copy Ranger Captain for the late game. And then I do think that, you know, there are other blue cards you can explore. There are not that many other blue cards to explore. One card that I really have liked for a long time and just like, so like, I don't know, I guess I was going to go on a tangent, but like, I think Pippin is very good and very powerful, but there just have not been like aggressive blue-white X decks that you could really play Pippin in. But I think Pippin might be a good fit here. 2-mana, 2/2 Vigilance, Ward 1, and can give another creature protection from a card type until end of turn as a tap ability. I think this card's awesome. And I've been wanting to play a lot. Playing 1 Teferi also. No. Actually, I mean, they've already used 3 flares. I mean, I guess the problem is maybe them finding a Solitude. But I'm in a position where if I draw a land or a burn spell, they die. Or Bowmaster or Wrenn and Six. And I should be able to chump to live for this turn. Like 1 Tideshaper in the board as a Ranger Captain target that can get Saga, Disrupt Tron. Think Mocking Mill is too cute? Yeah. I don't think that you're going to play... Didn't like the one of Drake. Well, the Drake was only good with the Port Mage, and I think that this is going to be a better build than the Port Mage build. But if I was playing Port Mage in the deck, I would still play the Mockingbird. It was fine. Any tips of Primal Prayers deck? Not recently. It is, of course, not been very good. Maybe good one day. How much stronger is Pippin than Mom? Well, it's not stronger than Mother of Runes. Giver of Runes is, I think it's better than Giver of Runes. The ward on the card is really good. Okay, they definitely should have solituded their own elemental, but maybe they can just find another solitude off the birthing ritual. No, you can't pay X into Mockingbird. If you hit Mockingbird off Amped Raptor, you just have a 1/1 flyer, which is not a very good hit. But it maybe makes up for it the fact that you can copy your Amped Raptors with Mockingbird. I think it's probably fine. And then it's also like, Mockingbird's really good with the Johnny. Johnny's good with red permanents. This is the best red permanent. You know, you want the extra removal too. Yeah, you can copy a token. That's true. Okay, so we have 3 Bowmasters, 3 Wrenn and Six, 1 Lightning Bolt, 3 Atarka's commands as outs. Alright, this is the turn we draw the land. Oh, they got back Flare of Denial with the Witness. Okay, so never mind. Dead anyways. Okay, 3-2. Fun deck, fun league. Gonna play some Jeskai. I was already doing the deck tech, but Mockingbird is great in this archetype. Copying Guide of Souls, copying Ocelot Pride, copying...